The podcast title is actually called, it came to me at the Monroe Institute. So I know it's meant to happen, and I just feel energetic. There's this paradigm shift where truths are starting to be told.
On today's episode, we have an amazing spirit. You are like, there's a handful of people that are out of this world that I know, and I'm so blessed to know out of this world people, and you're one of them. And I've been thinking about you in the pod, and I was just like, when it's meant to happen, I'm going to reach out to him. And I felt the nudge, and you're just so generous to share your time. And you jumped on. So we have Marco here. Give us a little breakdown about who you are, what you're about, and what do you do?
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marco J. Williams. I'm a mindset mentor and author of How to Listen to the Universe. And to put it simple, I teach people how to align to their higher self. It's something that I believe that I was put on this earth to show people the way out of this particular matrix by going within, as opposed to tapping and influencing, being influenced by the outside influences that distract them from their internal godlike power. So I feel like that's what I'm here to do, and I've been doing that. I'm a Life Path 33, the master teacher in numerology, and that's all I've been doing this last couple years. I started off as a firefighter EMT, and to believe it or not, my spiritual journey kind of, that was the catalyst of it. I met a woman who had a near-death experience that changed my life. The woman told me, I'm not going to tell you all what she passed away because of HIPAA, but her heart was particularly stopped. It was stopped to the point where her family was doing CPR. And I believe that that is what saved her life, that they were doing CPR upon our arrival. And she was the youngest patient I've ever had. I am 33 years old as of this year. She was 33 years old at that time. And this woman, like, I came upon her and saw that she's the youngest person I've ever had who's been in cardiac arrest. And I said, something in the back of my head said, if you have the opportunity to ask her what she's seen when she comes back, please do. So we get her back. And en route to the hospital, like, she's looking around, and I never had anybody come back from a cardiac arrest. They're usually elderly patients, and oddly enough, that particular day, as opposed to going to our normal hospital that we were supposed to go to, we transported her to a different hospital, and they didn't put her immediately in the ICU, which is protocol after a cardiac event such as that. You go to the ICU. She wasn't in the ICU. She was in a regular room. Like, we told the nursing staff and the doctors, like, hey, she just was in cardiac arrest. Like, I know she's looking around, but she's not your typical
Yeah.
cardiac arrest patient. So they have her in this room, and I still have this urge to ask her, what did you see? What did you see? And I forget something. It's the pulse ox probe, which texts our oxygen levels. So I'm a brand new EMT, and I was like, I don't want to do any paperwork. I got to go back and get this from her room. It was still on her. And I look at this woman directly in her face. She's looking out to the space with a blank stare. You know, she has been through the cosmic ringer. She's just looking. And I don't know if the listeners aren't going to be able to see my face unless this is recorded, but she just has this blank stare, just didn't say a word. So I quirkily kind of asked, what did you see? What did you experience? And she said, I'm pissed off that you guys brought me back. I was like, oh, because everything that I was trying to escape from, you guys brought me right back to that. I saw that I was one with the universe. I saw the beginning of time. I saw the end of time. I saw every life that I ever lived. And that resonated with me because, like, to the average person, like my partner, I asked him, who I worked with that day, like, Fry, you remember that call we had? That call truthfully changed my life. He was like, he doesn't remember. He's more of a scientific Western
Yeah.
philosophy kind of guy where he just doesn't pay attention to the
Mm-hmm.
signs. But that was one of those calls that really woke me up, where I started to do more research with past lives and past life regressions, started taking up Dolores Cannon's books. Uh, and I looked into Journey of Souls, just different books that talked about it. And same with Robert Monroe's work with outer body experiences, because I've had my own outer body experiences with the timeline jumping and experiencing my my past life, seeing how they are all happening simultaneously. So it's just like I felt like encountering her was that moment to make me realize that, yeah, what she's saying isn't crazy. Like, this is
Hmm.
a common theme with people who have had near death experiences, psychedelic experiences, and take part in transcendental meditation. I know I kind of went on there with the intro, but yeah, that's kind of my story and how it all started.
It was the spark, like pun intended, the spark that just set the fire and you ran with it. It was your time.
Right. And speaking of sparks, and going into past life regressions, I saw that one of my lives was a Cathar, which is a set of the Gnostics. And the Gnostics believe that there's a divine spark within all of us. How the God of the Old Testament isn't the real God, it's the demiurge or Yada Ba'oth, who's tricking humanity into reincarnating with these archons into so they could feed off their energy. So people get trapped into this materialistic world. And it's like we have all these teachings of Yahshua, Jesus, about who he is based off of the false teachings, but the real Yahshua was teaching humanity the same thing that I feel like my mission on this. I don't feel, I know there's a difference. I know that my purpose on this planet was to help wake the collective so they can all not be distracted by the materialistic world, the things that draw them back to coming back into this trap.
Hmm.
So I saw that one of my lives was a Cathar. We were persecuted. It's now is the time where a lot of us come back to this planet to finish off those missions that were left unfulfilled because we were in the old age that wasn't ready for this information, and we were still being ruled by that energy. But now you can feel energetic. There's this paradigm shift where truths are starting to be told. Like, this
Hmm.
old age is, of the bygone era, is over.
Yeah.
Now we what seems so woo woo is not so woo woo, and that's
Mhm.
why I think that a lot of spiritual workers or people in this type of field, content creation, and it aligns to helping out the collective of humanity, you are going to flourish in this new age.
Yeah, it is. I like to think that like the quote unquote black sheep of the families of society are the ones that have a deeper, and you talk about understanding a lot, which I just, that term resonates so heavy with me because I think people like you and I, people that are in these spaces, have a deeper understanding of what's going on. That's one thing I love about your videos on social media is you're not just talking, you talk about the current experiences in society right now, but you go deeper where it's not just like, oh, TikTok shut down. It's like, no, let's go deeper than that. There's what's the reason? What's the energy behind that? And to be able to expand energetically and thought process wise like that is something that once more of the collective gets on board, imagine what's going to happen with society.
I know, I feel like collectively we have already woken up
Mm-hmm.
with, especially, I don't know what the powers that be thought when they took away TikTok, but honestly, TikTok was what has shifted the collective. One of my manifestations was to shift the collective consciousness, and I believe that's already came into fruition. I wrote that down as let's shift the collective consciousness. But it wasn't just me alone. It was the help of people like you and everybody else who just started speaking their truths and living in their truth and started embodying that source energy, that energy of like, okay, we're not, people didn't join TikTok because they thought it's just that app where people just dance on and they just do this, that, and the other. But one thing that they don't realize is TikTok has one of the best algorithms that there is ever to exist, where we are collectively gathering in massive quantities of people where we can all have certain groups. Like, you have book talk, you have people who talk about consciousness, you have people
Mm-hmm.
who talk about recipes, but just different sets across the app where we can collectively unify in things. And then it's like when the powers that be kind of take that away from us, we're like, hey, I was learning different recipes. I was learning different tips on how to travel for cheap. I was learning how to fix my car. You're taking away the information for the collective. And
Mm-hmm.
as we enter in this age of this Aquarius, this knowing energy, it's like the collective wants to know. We want to learn more. So it's, you deprive us of that. The other powers that are higher than the powers that are
Mm-hmm.
controlling it don't like that. And so they push back, and what is meant to be is supposed to happen. Everything that is done. I think that they see where this collective is going, and they're afraid of the knowledge that we've all accumulated over these last couple of years. We haven't
Mm-hmm.
just been doom scrolling. I try to tell people all the time, especially with the doom scrolling, like, use social media like I do it. Yes, I post my videos, but I use social media as a form of creativity, where if I have an idea, I create it. I put it
Mm-hmm.
out there in the ether because I know, because of collective consciousness, somebody else is going to put that out there. They have heard that same whisper, and I don't want to kick myself in the butt by saying like, "Oh yeah, I had that idea. He beat me to that video."
Mm-hmm.
Content creation for me is me expressing creativity, connecting to that source energy, and that's connecting the imaginative side, that intuitive side, combining the two, and expressing it through art.
Yeah.
And people can take it how they want, but through all that, I don't doom scroll. Me, I post a video and I'm off social media. I'm only on social media if I want to learn something like really in depth about a particular
Mm-hmm.
topic, then I'll kind of doom scroll in that way. But I'm not just doom scrolling. And that's why I think that why we're the yin and yang, because of the balance. We need that balance of
Yeah.
like, okay, we don't want to just continue to doom scroll while we're on social media. We want to be able to find time to ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and disconnect from this fake world that social media has. Because if you look at it, I feel like Instagram is a fake world where people want to post their best life, and it's not authentic. But that's the difference between Instagram and TikTok. I feel like people who came on TikTok are their best authentic selves. They
Yeah.
show up, and that's why they accumulate such a mass following, because they're being in that frequency of authenticity. Instagram, Facebook, what do they have? Your family members.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the people in your life who are, I want to say, monitoring spirits, where they look at you, but they're like secretly hating. And I don't get that
Yeah.
energy.
Like
But
peeping kind of energy.
it's like they don't show you no support, but your strangers on TikTok are always going to show you support. Or and that's what I think that they were taking away, is just our ability to organize our true community, because people that are blood may not always be your true family. You have a soul family that's out there, and I feel like we were all connecting,
Yeah.
like that's what was happening on a massive level. So I'm grateful that it's back, but there's a part of me that doesn't feel like it's truly back. I feel
Oh
like
no.
they did some backdoor stuff to kind of manipulate the algorithm to where
Mm-hmm.
they want to push one side's agenda versus the other. And I stay away from politics. I don't lean to the right or
Yeah.
left, because I see that they're two wings on the same bird. And the fact that Congress can pass a bipartisan bill to ban an app that was contributing to the collective consciousness of humanity. So wake up some new flags, and then you see Donald Trump comes, "Hey, I'm president and I brought it back to you." It almost feels like a narcissistic trait, because that's what
Yes.
narcissists do, where they take something away from you and they give it back and make you
Mm-hmm.
seem like you're dependent on them. Where everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Uncle Donnie did this for us." I don't trust it. I don't trust
Yeah.
the system. And even when they're only giving it about 75 more days, for all those people listening out there, I still encourage everybody, especially when it comes to social media, utilize YouTube,
Yeah.
utilize Facebook, Instagram, heavily censored, but YouTube has
Yeah.
stood the test of time overall. And I'm not saying don't push content out there on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, but Instagram and Facebook. But I'm saying, like, I noticed the difference between the content that talks about consciousness and bettering yourself. It doesn't get pushed on Instagram or
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. It's, you look at my views on Instagram and Facebook versus TikTok.
Massive
TikTok pushes it.
difference.
Instagram does not, because it's like the only videos that get pushed on Instagram, it seems, and I coach people on how to grow their social media
Mm-hmm.
accounts, but just being the neurodivergent person I am and pattern recognition, I'm seeing a trend of how Meta pushes negativity. They
Mm-hmm.
push stuff where it's distraction,
Yeah.
where they encourage, it seems like their algorithms attract people who want to do nothing but argue. And
Mm-hmm.
TikTok's algorithm pushes nothing but people who want to contribute positivity. There's a whole difference in the type of videos that comments that I get on TikTok versus Instagram.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how I went off on this tangent, how we even got here, but we are here.
The algorithm is, and when it boils down to it, like you are the algorithm. My dog has his little TikTok, and I'll post videos from time to time. And the day before TikTok went dark, my dog's video went like a little bit viral. He has like almost 100,000 views on one of his videos right now. Every comment is 100% like loving and supportive. It's the positivity, it's just like the joy that I think that he brings. And I'm like, we are the algorithm. Like we have potential to go past it, but expanding your energy in that space, and it's so tricky online because we're so susceptible to so much input and so many eyes. And I don't necessarily subscribe to like evil eye or protecting yourself. I'm more along the lines of like standing in your power, owning your power. If you want to quote unquote protect yourself, have like a mirror shield around you to reflect the energy off of you. Um, and having such a big presence like you do on social media, what is something that you do when it comes to like the algorithm, when it comes to posting? Because that's something that you coach people with, right? Is social media?
Yes. So believe it or not, when a video goes viral on my end, no matter what platform, I'm very empathic. So I feel the energy, whether it's good or bad. And honestly overwhelmed when a video goes viral because it's so much energy just being channeled into one particular place at one time. And I got to kind of just take a break from it. Like if
Yeah.
you notice, if a video of mine goes viral, I probably won't post for a little bit because it's just overwhelming. All the energy, I feel it, and it's
Yeah.
like that's the universe way of telling me I need to take a break. Like, yeah, I wanted this outcome, but at the same time, when I receive the outcome, it's like, oh, this is a little too much. I
Yeah.
don't really like this, and I'm starting to find myself kind of sink within myself or kind of outside of this phone, and I feel better living outside of my phone as opposed to like, oh, I get an idea, I post it, keep it moving. Like that's kind of how I've been operating now, as opposed to I'll post a video, check a few comments, and then I find myself like going, engaging with the comments, like even more in the video. But I'm like, wait a minute, why am I doing this? This was the point of the video. I already put it
Mm-hmm.
out there. It's no more. We don't need to have this discourse. It's art.
Yeah.
It's like people let people interpret how they want. So I
Exactly.
find myself just like going ghost. I'll post a video and
And
just
step
be
back.
gone, getting back, reading more, meditating more, hiking. It's a little cold in my area now. I think it's 12 degrees outside right now. It
My
is freezing.
God.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've been telling people about this climate change. We didn't have all these Arctic blasts, but the fact that my mom's down in Miami and she's like, it is 48 degrees down here. That's not normal. Like
Wow.
that's a problem. So it's just like I feel like when it is this cold, it does take away my physical. Like I'll go to the gym, but like I really enjoy being out in nature, but not when it's this cold. But
Yeah.
that is my true escape is going within myself as we are in this time period, these couple months that is cold on the my
Mm-hmm.
part of the world.
Oh my God, that is so. My sister was like in negative 20 something. She's in North Dakota. And
Oh
the
my
other day it was
gosh.
like negative 20 something. And I was like, how are you alive? It is so cold. But moving your body and separating yourself from social media, like my biggest, when I get my biggest messages is when I'm drinking my coffee in the morning and I'm reading. It's like the reading kind of just sparks, opens up something within me, and I will just have like a flood. And it's not necessarily anything to do with what I'm reading. It's just like a flood of messages. And there's a gal, I'm in San Diego, and there's a gal out here that owns a shop, and she does readings. And I bought a little crystal, and she was like working my magic with the crystal. And she was like, something about your family and someone in your past, they used to like read the newspaper and like drink their coffee and get messages. And I was like, it's literally what I do every morning. And she doesn't even know that. So it's so funny how like we carry energy from previous generations to where we are now. And I think about what are they thinking about what we're going through right now, like everyone on the other side, and seeing social media and our reach that we have with other people and being able to tap into other energies and spaces and timelines. And I was looking at your Amazon storefront and I saw that you had some Dolores Cannon books on there, and you talked about her a second ago. love that woman. She was so beyond our time. And before we pressed record, we are talking about how I feel I kind of fold time and I shift time and I do that within people as well. And something I've realized since I was really little is a lot of people don't vibe with me because of how I kind of, I don't know what's the best way to put it. I bring that awareness out of people, and it's something that a lot of us as human beings in this experience don't really care to do. Just thinking about Dolores Cannon and her past life regressions, and you talked about that. What are your thoughts with what we're going through right now with society and moving into a new awakening?
That's a great question. I know for a fact that society is, like we mentioned earlier, how the collective is shifting to where we want to learn more about this particular knowledge of what we were talking about. When I went to the Monroe Institute a few months ago, I had the biggest download I've ever received from my hemisync meditations. We were there and we meditated a week straight where we were listening to these binaural beats. And to kind of jump back and digress to what you were saying about how when you read at the first thing in the morning, that's when these brain waves, these that are connected to the ether, are channeling back to you. That's why you receive so many downloads and inspirations. If the first thing you do in the morning is not get on your phone and check your emails and just sit in your thoughts and or let everything that's happening and be present, that's when you'll become a beacon to the universe. You'll start attracting more downloads because you're in a different brainwave state. But the Monroe Institute, we did hemisyncing, where we combined our left and right hemispheres, the logic and reasoning side with the creative side, and it allowed us to tap into these higher dimensions of consciousness. And these consciousness, well, these dimensions are where you meet your higher self. There are, I don't want to get too woo woo, but I believe if you're listening to this podcast, you already
You're woo
know
woo.
that you're woo woo. But there was a mothership, this craft, this being, this triangular shaped shift that appeared in my focus 15 meditation, where that is the bridge or the gateway to these higher dimensions. And as of right now, there is a mothership off the coast of in the Gulf, which is what Trump's trying to name America. But there's motherships all around that are like telling the governments, like, hey, your time for disclosure is up. We've been trying to tell you all that this is what the collective wants. And we are shifting into this age where the people who have control, they still want to keep that control, but these other beings are like, no,
Yeah.
we are shifting. We want to show people their higher self. We want to show them who they truly are. Hollywood's been brainwashing us into believing that these beings
Mm-hmm.
are evil, but they are really these galactic beings that are here, that are essentially us from a higher dimension of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And they're here to guide us in a way, but we're not being told that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's what's happening. But going back to when I was at the Monroe Institute, one of those motherships appeared in my Focus 15 meditations. And prior to that happening, a portal, a gateway, a doorway opened up behind me. And this gateway took me to this spiral staircase. And as I was going up this spiral staircase, what religion will call Jacob's ladder,
Mm-hmm.
there was every incarnation, every ancestor was kind of guiding me up to the top, because I said in a meditation prior to accessing that realm, I told my higher self as a mantra, as a prayer meditation, I said, I want to meet source. So at the top of the stairway was this bright light. It was very comforting. I was feeling one with it, kind of like what the woman who said I was feeling one with the universe. It was this very comforting energy.
Yeah.
And you know you're in this different realm because everybody is talking they speak telepathic. There's no verbal
Mm-hmm.
communication. Everybody's just communicating with you. You just receive the messages and you know what they're saying
Mm-hmm.
without them even talking really. You just, it's mind to mind, it's
Yeah.
energy. So as I'm ascending up this staircase, all these ancestors who were connected to me, there were past lives. I meet my higher self. My higher self was the most divine energy. It was the version of me that's lived through every portion of time, every dimension. And it told me, this is your most important timeline, because it's showing me how time is stacked on top of each other like a book and it's all playing out simultaneously. And it showed me that, yeah, and let's say this, for example, is Earth 3333. You were a creative, you were a director, you went in movies and I'm looking at it like, wow, I did this in this earth, and oh, in this earth you were doing this and you were very successful doing that. And in this earth you were this, but in this earth you were that, and you weren't the best. But
Hmm.
this where you are right now is the most important, because this is where you master yourself. When you master yourself, you will master the universe, because you connect to the highest version of you, the
Hmm.
version of you that's already experienced everything. I am the
Yeah.
version of you that is guiding you, your intuition that is talking to you through your gut. And sometimes you ignore me, but you found me in this realm. And
Mhm.
the highest self gave me the biggest download where it said, you're going to eventually start a podcast and connect people to the higher self through that. And I was blown away with that, because it was like, before you go away, take this. And it sent me the idea for the next podcast, which I'll probably get started on. And I'm really proud of you for starting your podcast. I
Oh,
just want to
thank
throw that
you.
out there. It podcasts with the coming of age because of information. As far as social media goes, I know that podcast will be one of the biggest things that's going to elevate a lot of people. You're
Yeah.
essentially your own talk show host. So for
Hmm.
starting your podcast, you are already ahead of your social media journey,
Yeah.
just in that alone. No matter if and it's something you got to stick with. So my higher self gave me that download, like, here's the idea for your podcast. You'll eventually start
Mm.
it. And I didn't post anything about it. This is kind of the first time I'm mentioning it. But it just was like, this is it's an archangel. It's the version
Yeah.
of you that's experienced all the time, because
Yeah.
time is happening simultaneously. But this is why I say it's important for people to meet their higher self, because that is the version, that's their best self. That's their most accomplished self. That's the version of them that's all throughout time that we're all connected to. And you got
Hmm.
to reach that frequency through love, authenticity, and being in the moment.
Yeah, love. I mean, Bob Marley hit it when he said love is my religion. I was like, same, Bob. Same. Like cover everything with love. I had so all my podcasts I've done one in the beginning where I kind of like talked about why I started my business, but I always talk to people on my podcast. I bring guests on. I'm so blessed to know some of the most amazing people, and all of you are so welcoming and open to these experiences. And my nephew passed away 2 days before Christmas, unexpectedly. He was only 21. The dream that I had, the so he passed away. My sister and I had no idea at that point. Christmas Eve, she calls me, and right before that, I had the most beautifulest dream of my life. I was on the phone with her in my dream. I'm driving up a mountain, and the mountain became an ocean. So it was like a mountain and an ocean, and I'm driving up. And then I get to this town, and you were talking about like telepathic, right? Like no sound, no voice, just a feeling. I get to this town, and it was the most joyful, peaceful, loving feeling I've ever felt in my life. And I look around, and there's no noise, there's no talking, just people living in the colors, and there was no season. It's hard to explain, but it was magical. It was beautiful. And I'm on the phone with my sister in the dream, and I'm like, what is this town called? I have to move here. And I see a sign, and it's called Ashton. And then I wake up, and that's when I get the phone call from her that my nephew passed away. So we're both just losing our minds at this point. And I was like, wait, I just had a dream that I was driving to you, and I'm on the phone with you. And then she's in North Dakota, and it's Christmas Eve in real life. I'm awake now. I was like, I'm getting in a car. I'm renting a car. We're driving out right now. So I get in a car. I'm in Bakersfield, California, and start driving to North Dakota, a 21-hour drive. And you know those little signs where it says like the town's coming up? It said Ashton, 7 miles. And I was like, that's weird. And right as I see that, she calls me. And I was like, what just happened? Because I just passed that town that I told you about in my dream, or I'm coming up on it. It's 7 miles away. And she was like, I just felt Calvin's spirit cross over at that exact moment that I saw that exact name of the town of the dream I had the night before. And like I said, at that point, I had no idea I was going to be driving to North Dakota. I had no idea my nephew had passed. And for the exact moment for her to call, right when I see that name, I was like, he's okay. It's just this, again, going back to the idea, and even Dolores Cannon in past life regression and tapping into the other side and getting these messages and your higher self coming in and talking to you. this is why I have the podcast. This is what I want people to hear. We all have these capabilities. We all can tap into these spaces. It's a matter of expanding energetically so that you can do it. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. The fact that you're starting a podcast, I am just like somebody watching all the time. So,
No, that I got to give you credit for starting yours because it's a big accomplishment, like, and you're on the right path. At least from what I was told, like the podcast will be the way to go. They already are. There's a big market of podcasts, but if your podcast is very authentic and it's not a chore to you to do, it's gonna flourish when it's supposed to flourish. It's
yeah,
you, if you're consistent with it and you're passionate about it, everything will happen how it's supposed to happen. So
I
kudos to
believe
you for
that.
starting it and bringing in amazing people. Like that's a real accomplishment, finding guests and the guests coming on.
Yeah.
So, and to comment on the dream, like how it's you see how the timelines, how when you're in that dream realm, time is also nonlinear. So it's like
Hmm.
you are already in that space of time when he was already passed over, and then
So,
you just
yeah.
kind of we at the Monroe Institute, they kind of call that giving evidence, where you send this evidence back to your past self, or you it's almost confirmation because we can't really confirm what goes on in the ether and these other realms, but we have to
Yeah.
give ourselves something that it's like, I got some form of proof. So like
Hmm.
one of the exercises, what they do at the Monroe Institute, where they'll say, hey, I want you all to deliver a message to somebody and it has to resonate with them. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this is going to be so challenging. Like, I don't know if I can do this, but when you're at the Monroe Institute and you see how a lot of this stuff that is paranormal is actually the normal, and I'll
Yes.
use example in particular. There was a guy named Hakeem. He was on Naked and Afraid, but he's a urban outdoorsman where he made it to the very end of Naked and Afraid and he won. His whole deal is just surviving outdoors. When we went to the Monroe Institute, I was assigned a task to deliver him a message from his higher self, where so we got to reach into this quantum field, this Akashic records, and say, hey, I need to get a message for Hakeem. So you ask permission and then, hey, Hakeem, whatever, I don't know what this means to you, but I just got this message for you to take the deal. Very vague, you don't know what it is. And then we come back and reflect and we'll share. And he's like, he didn't say nothing, but he was like, I just got off the phone with a producer for my book. I'm in the process of writing a book, and I was hesitant if I wanted to go with a publisher or go the solo route, but I guess he had a deal with a publisher and he was hesitant and on the fence with it, and they said, take the deal. So that's what I mean. Like when we bring the physical back, we bring it, we
Hmm.
go from the Akashic field and come back and
Yeah.
bring some physical, tangible
The
evidence to kind of
evidence.
measure, like, yes, this is provable.
Yeah.
Another example, I don't really talk about this, and it's okay to share this because I doubt she'll listen to it, but it's a very touchy subject with my girlfriend and I because there was a woman who was there at the Monroe Institute, and we just had this instant connection. And my current girlfriend and I know that she is my person, and it's in my soul contract that I'm supposed to elevate with her. So I know she's my person. But
Hmm.
what made it so tough was because I saw a life with this other woman in one of these meditations. And remember how I said we got to come back and bring the physical into this
Yeah.
3D realm? So she said, hey, I don't want to, she came to me after one of the meditations. She said, hey, I don't want to sound weird, but did you have this like in your meditation? Did you see us this happening? And it was just us at a copy machine in New York City. And we just described the exact same thing. She was like, yeah, I was sitting down at a fax machine. You were writing, you were walking up with some papers. And she was like, I was with this black woman. She had short hair. I was like, yeah, we were just describing everything to a T of what we were experiencing. And then she was like, we went on a date afterwards. And that is kind of like the story that we explained of how we met. So we kept explaining it, and then we tried to do it again, and we ended up seeing that, yeah, we had our entire timeline together.
Oh my
We had an
God.
entire life together. We were married.
And
And
you met at the Monroe Institute when you
and
were
we met
there?
at the Monroe Institute, and we were describing the exact same timeline. And the instructor's like, yeah, you guys had a life together.
Oh my
This
gosh.
and you this is like some form of quantum entanglement that ties you
Yeah.
here. But there was instant, like when I talked to her, I didn't do anything physical with her, but there was like some type of connection with her, like
Yeah.
a
You could
telepathic
feel
connection
it.
we had. I felt it. And my girlfriend's very intuitive. She even felt it. So she texted me, was like, "Are you cheating on me or something?" Because she's
She
very powerful.
felt, yeah, she felt
She was
the
like, "I
emotion.
saw you in a window and you were with this other woman." And she was describing it was almost like she was remote viewing to the Monroe Institute, describing me and this woman. But she was like, I saw a woman with dark, she was a brunette, light green eyes. Like I saw this woman. So I got back from the Monroe Institute and explained it. And it was almost like I had a form of psychosis because I was like, what is real? What is
Yeah.
the what is it? There's so many
It's
infinite
like
timelines.
blurred
Well,
almost.
right. If there's so many infinite timelines of my life playing out, how would I know if this is the right one? But then I remembered towards the end of it all, my higher self saying, you are where you need to be. This is the right timeline. You connect to me, you will connect to every feeling that you ever experienced in all the other timelines. Because it was just like, it was sad because I remember the story of a guy who took DMT and he had a wife and kid with a woman and a daughter. He had a wife and kid. It was a woman and his daughter. And he was like, the trip lasted for no more than 30 minutes, but he's like, I remember being with them for 12 years. That's
Oh,
how it felt like. It was like I
yeah.
saw this entire timeline play out. And it was like, what? How's that
It's so
possible?
familiar. Like it
Yeah.
feels real because it's so familiar.
But it was just like we took from the ether and brought it back into the physical evidence where she started it off, and I was like, okay, I don't, because it was one of those moments where one of us was like, I don't want to sound weird,
Yeah.
but you were in my dream and you were in this vision and it played out like this. And then I connected dots and then she connected the dots and I'm like, yes, 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 this
Yeah.
is what happened. And it was just like, wow, we were both at this very energetic place. Highly recommend people. I'm not sponsoring the Monroe Institute, but if you do go to the Monroe Institute, I highly suggest you do the Gateway experience because that was one of the most powerful downloads I've ever received in my life. But just to see that time doesn't work the way that we think it does. This nonlinear perspective, it's happening
Yeah.
simultaneously all around us. And we have so many things, so many potentials playing up out, but it is up to us to align to our highest potential. And
Yeah.
we can do that right now in this life. Where that's it, no matter how bad you think your life is. Like I was living paycheck to paycheck, broke,
Mm-hmm.
and I tapped into source energy to change that. So no
Yeah.
matter how bad you think your life is, you have that capability to change it. I'm no special than anyone that's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can do this. It just takes practice.
Yeah, practice, practice and embodying it. And it definitely is like a fine line of delusion that you have to dance with to be able to, because we talk about manifesting, there's like the secret, there's so much on manifesting, but very little on the law of detachment and inspired action. I did a market this past weekend, and I do readings at the markets that I do. And the first gal that sat at my table, I could just feel her pain body was just so heavy and calcified, planted where she's at, but she wants to do better. She really does. And she just was finding a hard time believing that it could be better than where she's at. And then speaking to, I call them markers, like the little signifiers, the synchronicities, the evidence that comes through from the spirit side. When I do readings, I'll get these insane markers that blow my mind. It's like stuff that, how would I know the most random things? So I told her, I was like, what is going on with you in a red car on a very long road? And her jaw just dropped. She was like, I have a red car and I want to move really, really far. And I was like, okay, and why don't you believe you could do that? But it's just, we get so caught in the reality that we actually created. And I think that's one of the hardest pills for humans to swallow is like, so I don't like my life and my life is crappy, but you're telling me I made it. That makes no sense at all. But it's like, no, it makes perfect sense. Like the inner being is going to reflect what's going on the outside, or the outside's going to reflect what's going on the inside. Dyslexia. So when you talk to people that are very, I don't know if you've read Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, like
I'm not.
get that, throw that one in there. It's that book is the reason I got a divorce. And I tell everybody that. Like I literally closed the book and I was like, we're done. And I had said that a million times. I tried ending that. We were together for 16 years, from 16 to 32. Yeah, long time. I live life backwards. I'm weird that way. But I was like, no, like really, really, we're done. And I hope that you find your best self as we part ways. I damn sure I'm finding my best self, and that's why I'm doing this. But that book, it just talks about the pain body and how we just get so stuck in these cycles. And something I tell a lot of my clients is looking and asking for clarity and guidance, tapping into that higher consciousness. Your higher consciousness came in and was like, hey, the podcast is it. And you listen. You're not overcomplicating it. You're not, how do I record a podcast? These are things that you're going to think of, but I could tell you're so open to the idea. You're not blocking your blessings with the human mind and overthinking it. I like to say there's so much that's above our pay grade as human beings. It is for us to take inspired action. It's for us to make the goal, to write it down, and that's it. Don't overcomplicate it. We have to do the human steps. But what do you tell yourself, friends and family, any clients you have? How do you coach them through the law of detachment?
I started off with like a simple analogy, right? It's a we make a simple manifestation. It could be something as simple as I want you to manifest a rainbow. And I'm like, oh yeah, nobody cares. If I see a rainbow, I see a rainbow. And they go on about their day, and I kid you not, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I just seen a rainbow off of a sprinkler." Like it was somebody washing their car and a rainbow appeared, and it just like that was the I know because I didn't care to see a rainbow,
Mm-hmm.
and it came. So it's like when they know that it is that simple, it clicks where they're
Yeah.
like, okay, if I'm not really attached to the outcome and I let it happen, like an Amazon package, you
Mm-hmm.
cast your order out to the ether and you just kind of let it go. Like let
Yeah.
just don't think of it like you're not constantly clocking your Amazon packages when they're coming. You're just like, oh yeah, it's gonna come. If it is late, then you're like, okay, my Amazon, you'll get an update. But the universe doesn't work like that. It just works as if you know it's already happened. And if
Yeah.
you really feel and embody that energy of it happening, you start to taste it. You start to feel like, for example, if you're like, oh, I want to travel the world and be a travel content creator. So you start embodying like and envisioning what does it feel to have my hands in the sand? What does that water feel like?
Mm.
What's my skin feel like? It's sticky because it's that hot that hot, humid, tropical heat on my skin, making
Yeah.
my I want to take a shower because I'm feeling that stickiness. I'm tasting the salt. It's going up my nose. It's just like really start to embody like what is it like to travel? That's quantum jumping. When you're sending that information back to yourself because you're using that imagination,
Yeah.
that which is very powerful to manifesting is to tap into your creative side and
Yes.
really imagine what is this life like. Then you start to it starts reprogramming your brain where your brain's like, okay,
Mm.
we're we're on the beach. Our life doesn't suck. Like on the outside world, you're like, oh yeah, my life sucks right now. But then your brain internal is like, no, our world is great. We are here.
Mm-hmm.
We're drinking some rum punch on the beach. It's a lot of tropical music going on in the background. It's a nice, perfect breeze, and this is all playing out in your head. Your mind's
Mm-hmm.
eye is seeing this
Yep.
because it's happening, but you just have to let it go. When you let go and exist in the moment, that's when something magically aligns. It almost feels like magic, where something just aligns and that door opens
Yeah.
to allow you to jump to that timeline. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen if you're not present, if you're not letting go, you're not just being. If you're creating this other energy not that's casting away your manifestation as opposed to attracting it. So the
Mm-hmm.
art of letting go is just being. Just be in the moment. Be grateful for this particular moment. Think how great your life is. Think how great all the loved ones who are currently in your life right now, because we lost loved ones and
Mm-hmm.
there's loved ones who are still here. So be grateful for them because, yeah, when you're imagining that timeline, you don't know who's not there in that timeline with you.
Damn.
So this is why gratitude is so important in being present because this is where everybody who you love and is near and dear to you, you got your health, it's all here right
Yeah.
now. This is the most important. The future hasn't happened yet. The past has already happened. The future is just a figment of our imagination at this point. But if
Mm-hmm.
you being here right now and you're enjoying what you have, opportunities just come. And
Man.
that is the art of letting go, is just being in the now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a superpower to be present.
Yeah, the detachment aspect of I've sat this last couple months and thought about I used to manifest really, really good. In the last 2 years, I've overcomplicated it. And I was thinking, and I didn't realize I was overcomplicating it, but I was thinking, what was I doing that I was so easily manifesting things before I even knew about manifestation? And what am I doing different now that's blocking it? And I was like, I didn't know about manifestation. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just living and being present and I was working. And I would just say things like, wouldn't it be cool if I got in the music industry? And then literally a week later, a huge music producer got aligned with me and he was like, I need an assistant. And then we ended up working together for almost 3 years. Like, I had no attachment to what I was manifesting before. So with the podcast, my dad's nickname is Motor Mouth. I'm his daughter, so you can imagine how much I love to talk. So this just comes very easily and very naturally to me. Being here, I was recording a little video before you and I got on. And I find so much joy just sitting in my bedroom, little laptop, and one day I'll have a big old podcast studio, but there's so much joy right now in this space. And that's the gratitude and the appreciation. So I think that is, you hit it like nail on the head, gratitude.
You say this as I'm literally in the process of building out my podcast studio. These are soundproof boards, but it's eventually going to eventually become that. But I'm sitting in the actual manifestation of what I was told to do,
Oh
and
my God.
so it's a unique alignment actually.
So funny. And the minds that you're going to touch, the energy, the paths that you're going to help people open with your podcast. I can't wait. I literally just I'm just so excited that you said you're starting a podcast. So, and I
I
feel
think
like you
I'm
had it already.
overcomplicating it myself because I'm like, okay, I need this, I need this, I need that, as opposed to just being. But I also still really enjoy just doing the videos. But eventually, I'm like, okay, I do need to because like I got the mics and all that. I'm like, I do need the podcast, and I'm
It's so
procrastinating. But
easy.
I think this is just the year that it has to happen because I don't know how long we'll have TikTok, but like TikTok being taken away, I already had my platform deleted before. And it's just a reminder not to put all your eggs in one basket. That was honestly the inspiration for me to write the book, How to Listen to the Universe. I was like, you know what? If they take away my videos, I'll still have my intellectual knowledge in some form of writings for the collective
Mm.
to have. So I was like, they will never take that away. They can take away my stage, but I will never truly have everything gone. It's there.
Wow, that
Like
is so
that's
powerful.
so a podcast, I think that would really also help. So I think we are both on the right track, or you already started it, but this is where it's supposed to go. I think print media is also going to make a comeback, such as like what is it? I'm Substack. I
Mm.
encourage people to start putting information in writing because print media is going to make a comeback. Twitter is the wild, wild west, or it's still Twitter to me. It is not X. I will refuse to call it X, but it is the wild, wild west where people just put anything out there, and I don't think it's a lot of junk. It's like
Yeah.
McDonald's. There's no substance to it, as opposed to people putting their true intellectual knowledge into Substack writing these articles about consciousness or whatever it is that they're passionate about. Within the next few years, that will flourish. I don't know the
Hmm.
future of TikTok, but I don't feel like it's the same TikTok right now.
Oh, it's not. It's like I think it was the movie Step Brothers where he walked in his room and he was like, someone touched my drum set. And it looks
Yeah,
exactly the same. I'm like, that's TikTok. I'm like, someone touched our drum set.
right. That's exactly what it was. It was just like, I know you did something. I just haven't
Something's
figured
off.
it out yet. I haven't really been on it that much, but intuitively I feel that something is different. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't know what it is yet, but I'll see based off of how I post. But actually, with how I post is actually how I learned to kind of be Icarus and fly close to the sun without getting burned. Because before, when I started posting, I would directly talk about, oh yeah, the government's doing this, that, and the other. But now I do it in a skit way where it's like, it's, I took a page out of the Powers That Be's playbook where they have to abide by the universal galactic laws and tell you
Yeah.
to avoid that karmic retribution. So in a way, I tell people without telling them,
Mm-hmm.
where it's in skit, but I allow true intellects to pick up the dots and connect the pieces without
Yeah.
me telling them, oh yeah, the government's poisoning your water, the government's doing this. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want people to just focus on what the government's doing. I want you to focus on what can you do to better yourself with the situations that are happening. Because so what? They have this control. How's that helping you? And that's
Yeah.
kind of like the main focus is like help yourself. No one's
The
coming to save you
intellectual
but you.
intellectual power, you hit it. I think that that's something I've been, well, I just started when my nephew passed. I just had this message of go on your website and start writing blogs. Put everything that happens to you because the most wildest things happen to me. And my friends always telling me, start doing your podcast with just you. Tell people your stories. They need to hear this. They need to, it's not just about, these are the laws of manifestation or the laws of the universe. They want to hear our stories. So a big message that came to me was a Dear Diaries segment that I want to start doing on YouTube and my website and all my social platforms in pen to paper. Like this stuff and making it more personal. I think you really hit it when you said like print is gonna start making a comeback. And this is the stuff like you could delete TikTok. You could even burn all the books. It's still in here. I could still get it from here to the book. So getting it out of your mind and getting it offline is a big theme right now.
Absolutely. That's all I'm here for is just getting, well, like I said, I get bombarded. I think it's being autistic, so it's like I'm constantly getting downloads, and I have to
Hmm.
get it out of my head because otherwise I'd go crazy. I'd end
Get
up
it all
talking
out.
to myself or walking in circles. But everything is better out than in. It's energy that
Absolutely.
needs to be released. I had a patient not that long ago who had like a lot of anxiety, and I was telling her like you just need to breathe, like just you're probably neurodivergent like me. I feel that energy and you absorb it, and the more you absorb it, it creates that anxiety, and you see your hands get tense. It needs to
Yeah.
come out. It's energy needs to flow. You're a powerful attractor, so you got to release it,
Hmm.
cast it out there. And then you do that by breathing, going within yourself, and just writing down your thoughts, and whatever comes, your anxiety will clear up. You don't need to be overly medicated. You can,
Yes.
meditation is your true medication. And I want people to
Ooh,
realize that.
that is the title of the podcast. We just got it.
Yeah. Oh, I know the podcast title is actually called Listen to the You. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
I have the artwork and everything all written out. Probably gonna do like a neon sign somewhere so it's like so people can see it. It came to me at the Monroe Institute, so I know it's meant to happen, and I just got to stop
Hmm.
procrastinating. I think my
Yeah.
girlfriend, she wants to be involved in it, where because she has a lot to say, but she doesn't have any social media accounts. She's one of those
Hmm.
people that truly connected within. She doesn't need social media.
Yeah.
She's like, everything you're teaching, I already know. Like she is,
Oh,
I give it to her. Like everything that I know, she is truthfully light years
wow.
ahead of me. She is definitely she's it's weird because when she gets drunk, it's like that's when I hear the true the true source consciousness come from her. Like where most people,
Yeah.
you're in your lower self when you're drunk, but she taps into her higher self somehow. And it's like when she taps into her drunk side, that's when I get true messages from her where she was like, she'll look me in the eye and say, I came to you to help you through this incarnation. Like something deep like that, where you feel her piercing green eyes are looking into my
Yeah.
eye. And she's like, I came to you for a reason. I'm here to help you. I that was my purpose. And you're supposed to help
Wow.
me and show me through love. Like we're in this together. When you master
Divine
yourself.
counterparts.
Yes, she said, you're supposed to master yourself because I was not my best self when I met her. I was
Mm.
lying and cheating on women, and then she comes
Wow.
along and I completely did a 180.
Oh
So,
my
but
God.
I needed an awakened masculine energy on my journey, and that was
Hmm.
her, where she calls me out on my stuff. It's true shadow work where a lot, I wanted to push her away because I was afraid of my own reflection, where
Ooh.
she called me out on everything and my ego didn't want to hear what she was saying. So it was so quick to be like, well, if you don't like me, then leave. There's the door. But it was just no. She was giving me a reality check. Like
Wow.
this is you and you don't like what you are seeing. So you're afraid of what you're seeing and you run from it, but you need to face it. You need to go find the real you, and you need to find the voids that are making you the way that you are. You take this out on women because you have an unfulfilled void within yourself. So she calls me out on this stuff. And I was like, God dang, this is some deep stuff. But it's just like the more I like fought her, the more that I like started to listen at the same time. But when she is truthfully, when she drinks, and she doesn't drink often, that's when I truly hear the higher self from her talk. And it's like, it tells me, yes, we are partners. I'm here for you. Like, I don't know how
Wow.
long I have on this journey, but you are a significant part of this journey. And I came to help you. Like something deep like that. And it's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she's my person. I do whatever for her, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
she's trying to, yeah, our foundation started off on this rough, rocky patch, but she doesn't know how far, like truly know how far, like I've realized that, yeah, if
Yeah.
I'm Neo, you're my Trinity to help me escape this matrix.
Wow. And to
So,
just have the awareness to even be able to recognize that, and we could ditch the female male, biology part of it, but just to be a human and to be able to have her come to you with that reflection, and you did have resistance in the beginning, but to let it go and be like, this is for my highest good. Like I'm gonna run with this. That is something that we all have the capability of doing, but very few of us actually do it. And again, plug in both the podcasts. This is why we're doing what we do, so people can see this as like it's their possibility too. And anyone listening to this, whether it reaches one person or a million people, it's for them to tap in on a
mhm.
deeper level, like you did with your girlfriend. So that is my intention, that this really awakens that energy in people. That is what I want people to hear and know.
Then I love how you said that because I think that's a great way to end this because with my services, I don't truthfully promote them. The people who find them are the ones who find them. Like it's not like, oh yeah, buy this or this is what I offer. I will start promoting the master class again,
Hmm.
but as far as my one-on-one services, like I'm never going to promote that because I know the people who are truly in need are they will find it. Same with my videos. If my video flops, I know that it's unique because the videos that do flop are the ones with some of the most powerful messages sometimes.
Yeah.
And even though it's not viral, there are people who will send me a message, they'll comment, but they'll also send me a message like, wow, I really needed to see that video.
Hmm.
And that's honestly more fulfilling than a video going viral
Yeah.
because I know that it resonates with someone's soul. The videos that go viral, I feel like I they're skits and some of them are just distractions, like just for the algorithm, just so you know, hey,
Hmm.
I'm here. But then I throw in some deep stuff here and there. Some people catch it and some people don't. But the ones that are deliberately deep stuff, those are the ones that algorithms like, haha, no, we don't want to
Yep.
push that. Because yeah, no, we can't have them knowing that. But then there are people who are just like, look, I'm glad I don't know how I came across this, but I found you. This was amazing. And those messages mean so much. And I
Hmm.
just want to touch people's souls. I don't
Yeah.
care to just visually please people through the masses because of videos. It's just like if I can say something to you in person or through a video or through the book and it resonates with you, I am truly grateful for that. That fills me up here. It doesn't need like my shadow work class that I offered, it was free and I didn't get any monetary value from it, but I was so rewarded internally from it. It was one of the best classes I ever put out there. And I was grateful for everybody who attended that because I know that they all resonated with it. Like,
Hmm.
and I know we live in this paradigm where we need to be fed energetically by monetary value, but I believe that community is the new form of income. And we're all switching to this paradigm where we know that, yeah, you do something for me, I do something for you, we look out for each other. That's what we are shifting into,
Mm-hmm.
where we will collapse the system where I mean, I think the powers that be are already trying to collapse your own system by making everything
Mm-hmm.
digital. Trump has his own coin, which he's going to eventually pull the rug out from people and they get rich. You're just seeing how
Yeah.
everything's fake. This year of the snake, this year of completion, actually, like
Yeah.
it's the year that everything that we know ends, and the end of the world or this shift is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was talking to my sister about that this morning, and a really big thing I've been preaching I started really getting into it last year is we've traded community for convenience, and convenience is social media, easy access, fast access. And I just started a spiritual school with my former mentor turned business partner, and it's on the school platform, and it's a spiritual school. And yes, it's a school, and technically I'm the teacher of it, but I don't feel necessarily like the teacher. I want to talk with you, not at you. I'm just holding
Mhm.
space for you to find the medicine, for you to find the answers. I come from three generations of energy workers. My grandmas all did what I'm doing on a way bigger level. If I could be a fraction of what they were, I'd be happy. But this space is what we're creating because we're craving community on a deeper level. So I'm glad that you touched on that. And that's the last thing I'm gonna say. And I know you said you don't plug too many of your services, but if you just want to give everyone a quick breakdown on what you offer them, I would love that.
Okay. If you guys want to find me, you can find me on all of my socials. They're all the same: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Marco J. Williams. And as far as my services go, first of all, I have a book, How to Listen to the Universe. It's literally everything I've ever talked about in my videos, from the Akashic Records, reincarnation, manifestation, meditation, the war on consciousness, the war on drugs. It's all in there. I also teach people how to grow their social media accounts, such as if you want to be a travel influencer or you want to create UGC content.
Hmm.
I'm here to recognize the algorithm. I'll analyze their profiles and show them, like, yeah, this is what I think you should do. I just go based off of what source is telling me to tell them of what will be their best interest. And I
Hmm.
also help people, like a mindset mentor. I help people align to their higher selves. And if you are on my social media, you can find it. The link is in my bio. But other than that, what we said, this was a great conversation. I am grateful you had me on today.
And I want just one more thing. We talked about this earlier. Your life, it's such an amazing process, such an amazing journey. There's very few people that you find very little ego in, and ego is a good thing. It keeps us alive. It's part of the human experience. But you're such an amazing human that has the perfect amount of ego mixed in to the spiritual side and the human side. And with your life's journey, everything you've gone through, if you had a theme song to your life, what would it be?
I love how at first when I said I don't think I know a song for this question, but then literally a second later I was like, never mind, I know the song. It was By Design by Kid Cudi and Andre 3000. And if you look at the lyrics, you'll know why I picked this song, because I use it in a lot of my videos where it's like, the universe never steered me wrong, the universe never lies, and the choices you make are all by design. Tap into the frequency line. You hear it, they're like, don't fuck up the feng shui. You hear the
Yep.
background, ooh, tap into the frequency, love. Like, tap into that frequency. That is my song. And that was actually another inspiration for the book, How to Listen to the Universe, because the universe has never steered me wrong and it never lies. And it's also my tattoo,
Oh,
listening to the
wow.
universe.
Wow. Oh my God, that's a beautiful tattoo. That's deep.
It's
Damn.
actually my girlfriend's outline, because she's a Virgo, I'm a Virgo,
Oh,
but it's like I know that she is the universe. She is my universe. And it's like listening to her is what's been had the biggest outcome of my life, where we now own land together. I went from living at my mom's house to owning property with her. We had a nomadic RV lifestyle. We just lived a life that I never thought I would have, but it was all by just going with the flow and listening to what she had to say. So
hmm.
I
Being
truthfully,
present
like, that tattoo, that is my song, By Design.
by design. And I'm gonna put that down low. I'll put it with your links, so your info, and the song down there as well. I'm gonna listen to that after this and eat some lunch.
Absolutely.
Wow. Andre, that speaking of people out of this world, I'm not surprised that that he resonates with you because you both are out of this world. So,
Yeah. I feel like his journey's kind of started when he dated Erica Badu, but he's definitely them two are definitely tapped in. Like
yes.
she, you listen to her song. Um, what is it? If we were made in his image, call us by our name. Most intellects don't believe in God, but they fear us just the same. Like on and on. Like that's
Yes. Oh my God,
she
that's one of my
she
favorite songs.
she knows, like,
She
and
gets it.
you feel, but it's like she has to have that balance of the energy of balancing the record industry, the music industry, which is evil, to like let me release
Hmm.
this spiritual content at the same time, but I can't really
Oh my
fully
God.
give it to them. They don't allow it.
Mm-mm.
There's I think that this is going to be the shift where a lot of people who are spiritual content creators with music, they're going to flourish. I feel that as well.
Oh my God, there's so much I want to say on that. I was in the music industry as an executive assistant for a couple years, and
Yeah,
I totally get that.
please. The frequency, it's all real. I know that they
Hmm.
put you can feel the negative frequencies. Like people talk about Kanye West being lost his mind, but that man know there's a
He's
reason.
tapped in.
He
I
is
mean, look
tapped.
at
He's
some of the greatest poets were crazy because they were tapped in. They're
hmm
crazy.
Yep. When your mind operates in a neurodivergent way, you appear crazy. But reality, I
Hmm.
think our Western medicine system doesn't truthfully treat the mental health system
No.
as how other countries treat it, but that's a whole
Yeah.
different
Man.
conversation too. Like I've been trying to get in, scratch that level on that surface on TikTok with neurodivergent videos, like just showing how truthfully wonderful it is to be autistic and how our mind works and getting people to see that. So I kind of been cracking into that, but
Hmm.
I'm kind of everywhere right now. Like I
Oh
do want to
yeah.
start this podcast, but I also want to like really touch on like me being authentic and showing you I have
Hmm.
autism, but it is also my greatest gift.
Yes, absolutely. Angels. I believe people, my daughter's autistic, and I believe that again, totally did. Well, that's part two. We'll have to bring you on again for a deeper conversation. I'm not going to take any more of your time, but it has been
Absolutely.
so amazing. Again, time and our health are two things that we can't put a price on. So when individuals take time to sit with me for a bit and chat to help other people get tools and knowledge, I can't put into words how grateful I am. So thank you so much.
I'm grateful for this conversation and you having me on. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Maybe we'll have another round. So till
Oh, we
then,
will. I feel it.
thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later. Good
Peace
night,
out.
everyone.